and welcome to episode 16 of Story Stalking. And this week, we're going to feature a story by an extraordinary writer, Catherine Astolfo. And Catherine is the winner of the Arthur Ellis Best Short Story Award for a story which appeared in a previous Mesdames of Mayhem anthology, 13 Claws. And I hope that you'll look for her stories in all of our anthologies and also look for her novels. She's got a wonderful series of novels. Her name is Catherine Astolfo. But before I read this story to you, I want to remind you that we have an anthology coming out from Carrick Publishing this year in near the end of October 2020, titled A Grave Diagnosis. 35 stories of murder and malaise, and it's 35 different writers, so there's no repeats in this one. It's going to be a great ride, so look for that. A Grave Diagnosis, Carrick Publishing, 2020, coming out in the fall. And now, here is Gentle Rain from Heaven, a short story by Catherine Astolfo from In the Key of 13 by the Mesdames of Mayhem, Carrick Publishing, 2019. Gentle Rain from Heaven. Mercy hands the form with her ID to the policeman blocking the door. He examines the document closely, but does not look at her. Perhaps the man does not feel a need to study the face before him. Mercy is slim and short, never described as skinny or tiny, plain, average, gray hair, dull brown eyes, a pale woman in a mostly white world. An eyewitness would have difficulty describing her. There is no quality that makes her appearance distinctive. Finally, the policeman raises his eyes to look at her. He has discovered the only unique thing about her. Mersey, he asks, saying her name like the famous river. No, mercy, as in the quality of mercy, is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. He hands back the form, giving her a quizzical look. Not a Shakespeare fan, she guesses. Keep that on you at all times, he says. His voice is stern, as though she has already done something wrong. Dusky, despite the sun's rays straining to enter through the beveled glass, the room is large and stark. There's a hospital bed and a plastic chair. The nurse is here, the doorkeeper announces, and Mercy enters the room. More police officers huddle in a circle off to one side, voices muddy. Their sheer size smells of power, domination. The lone female in the group is Mercy's opposite. She would easily be spotted in a crowd. As tall as any of the men, as wide at the hips as the shoulders, she proudly carries a spare tire over her belt. Hair the color of fire at its burning peak is rolled in a bun and topped by her hat. The group stops their mumbling. Red turns fierce green eyes on Mercy, looks her up and down as though sizing her for an orange suit. The nurse turns toward the bed. Her patient is hidden under sheets that glimmer with the residue of strong bleach and hundreds of washings. This is a tiny person. At first, Mercy is confused. She was told she would be accompanying an adult, not a child. She had explained to her union rep. But no, this is not a child. On second glance, she notices bare feet, heels a mass of calluses, toes that have walked a lot of years. Farther along the prone body, breasts that move up and down with each stuttering breath. A tiny woman then. Mercy moves closer to the bed. The patient looks up at the scent of someone less threatening. Her porcelain face is framed by a mass of brownish blonde waves. Her blue eyes blink and stare. Not quite robin's egg blue, darker and more layered. They are skies full of promise, an invitation to dream. Her unlined, flawlessly perfect skin is white, yet dusted with tan and freckles that give her an exotic look. Lips are naturally red, plump and sweet. Her tongue pokes from between teeth that should be white and dazzling, but are yellowed with the stains of life, an imperfection that prevents her from being achingly beautiful. Mercy recognizes the tongue gesture and looks over at the bedside table. A cup and straw, hospital issue. She brings the water to her patient. The girl sips desperately. Under the sheets, Mercy can see that the young woman's arms and chest are bandaged. The smell of burned flesh mingles with antiseptics and the acrid scent of urine. Red barks, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Giving the patient some water," Mercy answers in her crisp professional voice. "You were just hired to transport." "Part of my job is to ensure the patient is well enough to be transferred, Constable." "She's as good as she's ever going to get," Red snarls. The men snicker behind her. "And it's Sergeant," the woman adds, tucks her fingers in her belt, thrusts the spare tire further into the room. Ah, she's in charge, Mercy thinks. No wonder she surrounds herself with an extra layer. She needs to let the men know she can pounce at any time. "Sergeant, I promise I won't get in your way. Just doing my job." Their eyes meet. Mercy sees the sudden understanding. We don't need a catfight in front of the men. "Well, don't make her too comfortable." Mercy hears bitch and something that sounds nastier, mumbled like little kids in a playground. Their animosity is an oppressive blanket of disapproval. The young woman's eyes fill with fear, film with tears that can't quite flow from her dehydrated body. She reaches out and clasps the nurse's hand. This skin is softer than anything Mercy has ever felt, other than the downy head of her baby. Warmth rushes through her blood, prickling her skin. She is smitten beyond control, and she knows this from past encounters. Reason. This young woman could be Mercy's daughter, had Rachel been allowed to reach this age. She gently strokes her patient's cheek, reassuring her. The sky blue eyes clear slightly, lock on Mercy's face. An infant discovering her parent, her source of life, her mother. The girl's bandages stretch from elbow to shoulder on both sides. When Mercy lifts the sheet, she can see white gauze covering the young woman's chest. A lick of flame has scraped off the first layer of skin. A fiery brush, not enough to require skin grafts, perhaps. Time and infection prevention will heal her. Mercy plumps the pillow and resumes holding her patient's hand. The officers glare at her. Mercy is astounded by the animosity. A ferocious cloud of hostility hangs over the room. They do not even attempt to be professional. Their feelings are raw and blatant. Mercy wonders what on earth Rachel could possibly have done to deserve this level of anger. She has decided that until she knows this young woman's name, it doesn't hurt to think of her as Rachel. The patient licks her lips. Once more, Mercy wets the girl's mouth and tongue with water. A word that might be mercy, the Shakespearean one, croaks from a chest that is plainly ravaged by smoke inhalation. The kind of intake that includes melted oil products, burnt offerings from a world that forms chairs from plastic. Mercy brushes wisps of her hair away from Rachel's forehead, allows her long, cool fingers to linger on the young woman's heated skin. The girl whimpers like a kitten being stroked and closes her eyes. Mercy begins to sing very softly. It's an ancient lullaby that Rachel loves. Sleep, peace, guardian angels watching all through the night. How ironic. The memories always come at unexpected times. This is probably not one of those. Blonde, blue-eyed, stunning youth is an obvious trigger. Still, Mercy doesn't like being sideswiped at work. Were she at home, she could curl up in bed, sweat out the moment. Yet here it is. She catches her breath. Tiny body, blonde hair, fuzzy infant down along her arms, empty blue eyes, an impossibly small coffin sucked into the wet ground under an appropriately rain-soaked sky. The door shuts as he leaves, unable to look into her accusing eyes one more time. Where were you at the time of death? Sudden infant death syndrome. No fault fatality. We went back to bed. Left in the impervious look of the investigator, a stamp of images. The romp in the bedroom. So much fun, especially for him, while their baby takes her last breath right next door. Let her sleep for once. It's been 6 weeks. Sudden infant death syndrome. No fault fatality. Alone in her crib. Soft skin. Bright-eyed smile. Mercy might have gone in and jiggled her, picked her up, embraced her cuddly body, started that heart beating. Now her soft, squirming child was cold and unyielding, hardened with the cessation of breath and blood flow, repellent. I can't even stand to pick her up. Mercy shudders, catches at the images, thrown at her with the ferocity and sting of a hardball, thrusts them back. This Rachel is warm. Her hand curls around Mercy's, soft as a kitten's breath. Those blue eyes, so very blue, cling to the life raft that is her transport nurse. Mercy, she rasps again, a throaty, grating sound that only approximates speech. Did you hear the policeman say my name, dear? Yes, it's Mercy. An odd title, I guess, but maybe okay for a nurse. She smiles at the girl and studies the eyes that peer up at her. If innocence had a face, it would be this one, she thinks. Although the blue orbs are filmy with injury, they are fathomless, tinged with fear perhaps, but childlike and pure. You rest, dear. I'm sure everything will be all right. Mercy feels another wave of love rise in her chest, pinking her cheeks. She fights the desire to pick this child woman up in her arms, wishes she could whisk her away from this wall of suspicion. She continues to whisper sing the lullaby about watching all through the night, all through the day. Mercy would never take her eyes off Rachel again. Red swaggers up to the bed. Nurse, I don't think singing to the patient is part of the deal here. Just shut it, will you? I absolutely must do whatever it takes to ensure my patient's comfort. Mercy uses her prim voice, the way she imagines a nun would speak. In fact, I'm wondering why the patient does not have a morphine drip. Shall I call the doctor? Red leans over and breathes a foul, hot scent in Mercy's face. Her snarl is rancid. Where were you at the time of death? She gets no morphine. Are you a doctor? Don't get lippy with me. I'll have you replaced. Still, I think I will speak with the doctor. It's my right as the transportation nurse to ensure. Fine, the line's there. Make it quick. But I can assure you, no doctor will be giving out morphine today. Mercy, however, knows how to speak to physicians. She understands the language, the liability issues, the political overtones of transporting an injured patient. Shortly after the phone call, the doctor, a tall man with lines of haste burrowed in his forehead, bustles into the room. He hands Mercy a package. Only sips, nurse, as you know. There's enough there to last through the wait period here, as well as the ambulance ride. Liquid morphine to avoid the drip, easier for transportation purposes. The girl has tolerated water, and the dropper is appropriately small, so this method will be fine. The doctor's middle-aged, kindly face tries to maintain professional neutrality, but his eyes are willful. They dart back and forth from Rachel to Mercy. They linger on the girl. Curiosity flashes like sparks on brown layers as he blinks. When he has gone, Mercy administers a small amount of the medicinal oil, chased with a sip of water. Mercy must remember that she is very tiny. A child-sized portion is plenty. Rachel's eyes are huge and hopeful. The message is obscure, but Mercy knows there is one. Finally, the girl swallows the medication and immediately closes her eyes. Mercy hums the lullaby's tune this time. My guardian angels will protect me all through the night. They will not allow my sweet breath to falter. After a moment, the girl is snoring lightly, a soft purr of relaxation. Rachel's hand does not slacken, however. Even in her angelic sleep, she continues to hold on for dear life. Mercy pats her patient's damp forehead with a cloth and readjusts the pillow. Red sidles up to the bedside. Once again, the nurse can smell this sergeant's malevolence. The woman is literally sweaty with rage. Want to know what your sleeping angel has done? I don't think it's appropriate. Of course it's not appropriate. Who gives a crap about appropriate? You didn't have the pleasure of seeing this little angel's destruction, did you? Think she's just full of innocence? The officer's words are so close to the ones running through Mercy's head that she's momentarily thrown off balance. Red sees her weakness and springs. Where were you at the time of death? They were side by side on the bed, arms around each other, sweet little blonde boys, though you could only tell from their pictures how beautiful they were. Cute smiles, soft, delicate skin, lovely giggles. Oh my God, you should have seen the videos. Transport nurse, break your heart in a second flat. So darling they were. Red straightens up, uses her full height to flatten Mercy's defense. And this little piece of shit, this lovely, innocent sleeping angel, turned them into twisted bits of charred ash, frozen in one last gesture of brotherly love. She doped them and set them on fire, said she was going to die with them, take an overdose and set the whole house ablaze. But, miracle of miracles, she didn't quite get around to it. Neighbors saw the smoke and called the fire department a little too quickly. Ruined her sick plan. Where were you at the time of death? Red kicks the side of the bed, cheeks flushed with anger and frustration. Twisted, black, ash-covered bodies are imprinted on her face. And why did she do it? Because her man left her, as though she's the only woman in the world to be left with kids. Mercy sees the other layer of Red's anger, the undertow of a broken promise, a paradise by the dashboard light kind of vow, a woman scorned who scorns any female who can't handle it. Transport to the detention center clinic from here, and then hopefully prison for life. It's really too good for her. Rachel jars awake. She cowers away from Red, tightens her grip on the nurse's hand. Mercy looks into the blue sky of the girl's eyes. That face, that gaze of longing, hope, purity. Mercy reaches out once again and comforts the child woman with a brush of cool fingers on her warm skin. Red shakes her head and stomps away, preferring the mutters of angry men to the ministrations of compassion. Mercy, the girl says again. Eyes brim with tears but don't quite overflow. They shine with entreaty. Suddenly the nurse understands the message. It's not mercy she wants. It's mercy. That gentle rain from heaven. Kill me, those sky blue eyes beg her. Give me the dark peace of death. Mercy feels overwhelmed with empathy. She takes out the morphine package. So easy to overdose in this oily liquid form. I understand, Rachel, Mercy whispers. You wanted to die with your babies. I understand that feeling. Oh my, do I ever. She strokes the girl's hair, relishes the feel of Rachel's bodily warmth. her overheated stress, looks into those wells of trust and hope. Clouds begin to clear from the blue skies as Rachel contemplates release. Her hand never moves from Mercy's soft fist. A frightened, shivering bird, finally at rest. Mercy tucks the morphine bag under the side table, smooths the wild hairs from Rachel's forehead one more time, swiftly lifts the small body to change her diaper, flattens the sheets, straightens the pillow. Don't worry, Rachel, Mercy whispers. They'll put you in the Highlands Psychiatric Facility. They always do in cases like this. No mother deliberately kills her children unless she is insane. She feels the beat of the girl's heart, the blood of being throughout her own body. Mercy can't tolerate the thought of this daughter, this warmth, becoming cold and hard. Not again. I work at Highlands part-time, Rachel. There was another girl there like you. Her name was Anne-Marie. It was easy to spirit Anne-Marie away from there, and I know I can do it again. You'll live in comfort with me. We'll be mother and daughter. The girl makes a mewing sound. Mercy sits down again and smooths Rachel's furrowed brow. This time I'll make sure there are no sharp objects around. It won't be like Anne-Marie. We'll be together always, you and I. Mercy, the girl says. I'm here, dear, the nurse answers. I'll always be here. Mercy begins to sing the lullaby again in soft, motherly tones. The end. And that has been Gentle Rain from Heaven by the great Catherine Astolfo. I absolutely love her work. Look for The Seventh Fire and Legend. Look for all of Catherine's stories in all of the Mesdames and Carrick Publishing anthologies, and you're going to love her work if you're not already introduced to her. So please look her up, find her, read her, and love her as I do. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe below. That's one way to show our authors the love that they deserve. Thank you all for joining us today on Story Stalking, a division of Dead to Rights, the podcast video for the crime genre industry. And again, I am your host, and I really appreciate you spending your time with us. Thanks also to our author of the day, Catherine Astolfo, for the wonderful story, Gentle Rain from Heaven. And thanks, as always, to Ted Carrick for the music, Eyes of Gold, that will accompany us out for this week. Thanks for joining us, and see you next week.
Dusty road, a man alone. His vital signs go on hold, and I don't know what you've been told, but the years have turned my eyes gold. And I told you what you told me, we'd never be in the same boat for free. Yet it rides, let it ride.